What's up, guys? My name is Dan. I'm going to be playing some Railroads Online, just running a few industries, really checking out the mechanics of the game, and maybe laying some new track. Link in the description to two of my friends from college, Inch J. CrumZKing with his gaming channel, and Kale Benson with Benson's Biking and Beyond, of which I've participated in a few videos with him on that. Great videos, highly recommend that you check it out. So, let's hop into it, shall we? I'm going to turn down the volume. Again, just live chat. Apparently no one's on currently, but we're going to try and attempt to make a recording at least so other people can enjoy it later on. I'm going to see if I can upload it. I'm not sure if I will be able to or not, but cross that bridge when we get there. Right now we are in the Denver and Rio Grande Class 70, a 280 consolidation class, just delivering some wood planks to the ironworks, which requires coal, steel plates, and lumber. But this game is really interactive, it's highly realistic. I highly recommend you watch some of the developers' videos. They're doing absolutely an amazing job at just creating everything to a realistic standard and historical accuracy. So far, there are multiple different trains in-game. Looks like I overshot that a little bit, my bad. But unload, if you hit P, you can see how much you make per thing, and it is glitching out like crazy. Don't know. That might be due to my poor quality while trying to stream. My computer is not exactly set up for this. Okay, so I overshot one car. Yeah, looks like I'm gonna have to back it up to unload it. But just real quick, going to the G menu, we'll go into the locomotives and freight cars, really. So first off, you have this car. It's a flat car used for logs and steel pipe once you get to that point. Next is the stake car, which you use for wood beams, iron plates, iron rail, and wood planks. Each industry requires its own things. There's the iron mine, the steel mill, the lumber mill, ironworks, oil fields, and oil refinery. And I think I already said iron mine and the coal mine, if I didn't add that already. But those are just a few of the industries that you need to do. And there's also a freight depot where you can drop things off if you choose. Next is the stake car with ends. This is used for cordwood, which the ironworks need, or the smelters need, sorry. And it's also used for carrying oil barrels, as you can see by freight type located here. My bad for not mentioning that sooner. Then the hopper, it carries iron ore and coal. Pretty self-explanatory. Tanker car carries crude oil to the refinery. Box car carries tools from the ironworks to the oil fields. And then the bobber caboose, a classic staple of any railway. Now this is narrow gauge, American or North American narrow gauge. They do have plans to add a ton of locomotives, some of them from the South America region and Puerto Rico, but mainly just the North American railways. Nothing in Europe, nothing in France, or France is part of Europe, my bad. So no UK, no Europe, no international, just mainly American narrow gauge. First on the things, or on the locomotive side, you have the handcart. Not great, doesn't really do much. It's so glitchy, it's not even funny. I don't know if they're going to fix that at all anytime soon or whatnot, but do not recommend this as a first go. Next we have the Porter. Stout little locomotive. You technically start out with this. It's number 1, and it's named Betsy. I don't know if we'll see that or not in this game playthrough, because it's currently located, I believe, at the iron mill, or the smelter, sorry. But we'll work on that later on. Next, we have Porter Tier 2. It's pretty much the same thing as the Porter, except it has an extra trailing truck, and it carries a little bit more wood and water capacity. Plus, if I didn't mention it before, you can have different attachments, so I can add headlights, which do cost more. Everything is cost and tier based. Next, Eureka. Now, this is actually based on I believe it's the Eureka and Palisades Railway, which is a logging railroad out west. And this locomotive actually still survives today. You can go see it operating at I think it was the Cumbres and Toltec Railway where it was last operating in their Victorian weekend, but it'll show up in events here and there. Highly recommend. Next we have the Climax, built by Climax Locomotive Works. And it's an odd design, it's a logging loco. So instead of a rod engine, it actually drives a gearbox, which then drives a drive shaft to power the wheels. They were cheaply built, realistically. They tended to shake themselves apart just because on the piston balancing. And overall, not the greatest design. And then the Heisler is the other version. Same thing, but it's more like a V2 engine, for those of you who are familiar. So each piston is mounted on the side, here and here, which then drives a drive axle in the center, as you can see here through a gearbox, or counterweights on this one, my bad, which then goes into both wheels and powers them via gears. And then last, or not last, but second to last, we have the Cook Locomotive Works 260 Mogul. So this thing, really nice locomotive. It's a nice tier up from Betsy's, and if you can't quite afford a geared engine yet, it's a perfect thing to do. But as you can see, there are multiple different smokestack options for this one, as well as some of the other ones, and different headlight styles, mainly just one. As you can see, we'll scroll up on that. So we have this style, and then we have this style. Really not that much different, but it all depends on what you want to do. Then the Denver and Rio Grande Class 7D. So this thing is a 280 consolidation. I don't know if I said that before or not, but overall, great locomotive. It is powerful, but don't expect to be able to go up a 4% grade or something like that with anything particularly heavy. It will not do it. It'll slip to a stop, and that's really where the geared locomotives come into their prime. Is very steep, very poorly laid track. It's not really modeled in this. In the game, it's more of, if it's really steep track, you'll do fine. Those are your true workhorse to get it up the hill. Because this game is really trying with the physics, but a lot of your cars will derail, and the locomotive won't, but the cars will. They are adding shays. I highly recommend you look at the Railroads Online developers video on what class and types of locomotives they're adding to the game. Great way to find out more resources and find out a lot more than what I can give you. But I personally enjoy the game. I mean, this is just my little section of railroad. We're probably going to see most of it. We might be laying some track. You might see some of my other locomotives scattered about. But overall, I personally love this game. I can't say that enough. But we're just going to run some trains, and hopefully some people join. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on. I always forget to whistle. So, to get into the cab, you hit F. It allows you to get into this view. You can also drive it. Let me line this car up. V is for view, so I can zoom out further. Does help on single player when you're trying to line up cars at industries. Hit the brakes real quick. But F, everything is movable, so I can release at the brake, open throttle, the sander, Johnson bar. You can open the doors. If I can actually get it to open. There we go. You can open the doors. Kind of a unique feature. Whistle is right here. And bell is that little rope there. And then, yeah, there are a lot of cool little features, like you can actually open the toolboxes, if I can get it open. There's not anything in them, but still really cool to have that feature. You have braking, so this is your hand brake. You can just spin it, sets it on and off. And then this, right click to add a pin, left click to add a link. You have to add the link before the pin. It's older style railroading. They're going to see, or part of the developer's idea is to add knuckle coupling as time goes on, but honestly that may or may not come in a short time. But they have so many different locomotives and so much geared up for this game that it's really just a matter of time before we start seeing some things. But then you can add water. Most of the engines are wood burning, but they will be adding coal and maybe oil burning. Shift is also to run. You line up your car at your industry, you hit enter, and it unloads. And of course my game is lagging out, so my items are going everywhere. But I can hit P, and it'll show me how much money I'm making. My XP currently, which is 72,520, and I'm currently at level 8. You gain XP from delivering goods places, cutting down trees to lay your track bed. There's so many different ways of making money, and some really not even funny. But this episode, I think we're going to finish unloading these, and then we are going to head to the steel mill, grab some more steel. I want this practically loaded up and ready to go before I get some coal here. So we're just going to deal with that right now. And of course, my railroad is named the Wood Valley Railroad. I got it as a hat from my dad about 7 years ago. And it's still one of my favorite hats. I wear it all the time, even though it's getting a little bit small on me. But absolutely love it. Big fan. And that's what my model railroad is going to be named as soon as I get the space and the time to build it. College is not fun. But, yeah. So we're just going to hit the brakes on that. And unload this. None of my friends really like to play this game, thus I'm kind of stuck doing it by myself. So if anyone out there is a true railroader and has an issue with my track layout, just know it is really meant to be, I designed it so I could drive it alone. So I didn't need people to, operate this entire route. Really, because that's just no fun. Trust me, I personally hate switching alone. It's not fun at all. It takes so much time and effort. So okay, we're just gonna full power. This is all new sections of track. As we head towards the steel mill, you will see my former track layouts. It's okay to do multiple iterations of things. I do it constantly, and I truly decide never to delete anything fully. The sole reason of if it's a good route and I somehow break the new one, I can always just switch to the old one. But at the same time, it gets kind of annoying staring at all your failed accomplishments. But Yeah. So we're gonna head on down the line. This actually loops up to the oil refinery, so I can show you my number 6 locomotive, Oiler. And I named it because it works at the oil refinery and it is colored black like oil. I know, very creative. But my Class 70 is named Wood after the Wood Valley. I forgot to show that in the G menu for locomotives and rolling stock. So let me exit out of driver view while we're doing this. Ooh, not happy with me. We're gonna quickly flip to Porter here. I'm gonna zoom in. So for the Porter, for tender, at least on the tank engines, or not the tank engine, sorry. Tank engines, you go to name, you can type train, and it actually shows up onto the cab. And then if you hit number, type the number. You can do letters for numbers if you really wanted to, but I could do, if it'll cooperate with me, 90, and it shows up. Or if I wanted to, go to the mogul and show you the thing here. So under name, I can do Valley, like mine is. Under number, we'll do 5, which shows up on the tender. But then you can do Wood Valley, and it does show up. The C is not supposed to be there. Sorry about that, guys. But Wood Valley shows up beautifully. But Class 70, as you can see, bigger locomotive. Under tender, you can actually do, you can do the full name of your railroad. And then your number shows up on the number board, so mine is numbered 5. Shows up. Great artwork. They do so much to this game. They really try to get it as realistic as possible. Like the marker lights on the sides, I can add those. They can either be green, in the case of the back they can be red, or they can be white to symbolize different trains. Following section, end section, or extra, which I believe green is the first section, red would be the end or last section, and then white is considered an extra. I'm not sure. I'm not really familiar with the railroad marker lights. Gotta be honest with you, don't know that much, but I do know quite a bit of history on them. Currently, I have going to start posting videos, maybe, on my Housatonic Railroad research, because Housatonic Railroad ran through my hometown, and it has honestly been an interest to me for a very long time now. I've got a lot of documents, I've got a lot of things, I even have a roster of it, which is kind of insane, saying this railroad existed from 1836 to 1899. But I have images, pictures, the whole 9 yards. So I might post those, I might not. Depends on how great this video does. But yeah, I personally enjoy just researching and learning about it. I'm from Connecticut originally, which is why Housatonic. So I'm currently out in South Dakota. Interest in railroads out here is still great. I mean, I'm kind of excited in the developer video, if you look at it, we're actually getting a Deadwood Central locomotive, which ran from Reed to Deadwood, but here in South Dakota. Yeah, said that already. Sorry if this sounds absolute cringe. But overall, great time. Right? But you go up there, it was a commuter line between Reed and Deadwood, and they had some pretty unique looking locomotives at the time, and it was actually electrified. At a given period of time before the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy locomotive bought it and turned it into a dual gauge until it was standard gauge, and then it was abandoned in, I believe, the 80s, 70s or 80s. But it now forms what is now called the Mickelson Trail. And we are approaching the approaching our oil refinery. That's my bridge. If you can see my cursor, that's my shunt lead or yard lead, I guess it would be called. Where pretty much I bring trains over here. There's a dual track section up here. Bring train in, oiler kind of comes out. I pull this train off, disconnect it. Oiler comes around and pretty much switches out the cars for me and then reassembles the train as it goes. And then I come back around with this hookup and continue on my merry way. Now you're probably wondering why it ends there. It wasn't convenient. This track I'm running on is technically the second iteration. There was a line that went right next to it at roughly the same gradient, but I found this to be much more gentle, I guess you would say. And yeah, laying smooth curves and track in here is really time consuming, really a production. I do try to do it at least, but it does not go well all the time. And as you can see, I have some really janky looking track at times. But the narrow gauge line, or narrow gauge railways at least, we're never known for having good track. But, yeah. They kind of always had a curve, kind of always laid cheaply, but always a great time. I'm a big fan of the narrow gauge. Connecticut Antique Machinery Association, shout out to you guys. And Hawaii number 5, which is a Baldwin-built 242, built in 1925 for the Hawaii State Railways. That's right, Hawaii had trains. Fun fact. And railways. And actually one standard gauge railway. But Hawaii number 5 is my baby. It is... depends on the manufacturer. I believe Alco called them specials, which is American Locomotive Works. And Baldwin called them Columbia types, after what I believe was the 1937 World's Fair, or one of the World's Fairs where they displayed the locomotive. It was displayed next to the Columbia exhibit, thus it got the name the Columbia type. But we're just going to quickly run this train back to the steel mill, or to the smelter, sorry. Run it up to the steel mill, and that'll be the end of this video. It's already gone on for 23 minutes, which, extremely long, by the way, guys. I do apologize for that, but I do go live. I don't have a set schedule for when I go live. It'll probably be mostly on the weekends. But if you guys can, happy to have you. I apologize. My computer does not like to stream and run this game very well. So I apologize if it looks janky, if it looks bad. It's not this bad in real life. I'll probably try to do a screen recording of it to show you how good it can be. But I think it's because I'm doing a live and recording that it's kind of wonky. Sadly, still no viewers. Oh well, my channel isn't that popular yet, but hopefully this gets me up there. Not doing it as a way of getting followers, but I'm definitely trying to get my presence bigger on YouTube and trying to expand at least my thing. I do play a lot of games. I do a lot of hiking too. So look out on Benson's Biking and Beyond. You will probably see me. My name's Dan. I'm normally the one either doing an intro, or I'm helping him with GoPro footage. But always a great time. And I'm just gonna let this run for a little bit and let you guys, well, do your thing. Really, give you a little break from hearing my voice all the time. So, yeah. Cool. Sorry about that, guys. My audio cuts out when I do this. So, I'm just going to let this train run, and yeah. What's up, guys? I'm back. So, as we're crossing this switch, this is technically speaking my old branch. Gonna turn on the brakes here so I can do a little bit of switching real quick. Oh, sorry about that. But, yep, this is my old route, the one that I said I replaced with that new track that we went up on. Again, just haven't gotten around to tearing out the switch or the rails. So, there are a few places like that along the route. It happens. Not everyone's perfect. But apparently the switch ahead is already set to where I need it to go. So we're going to get this train rolling. Nice and gentle, though. If you do it too hard, you can actually pull apart your links, which have done that before. It absolutely sucks to put them back into place. We're just going to let that coast. We're going to run up here for a quick second just so I can show you some of the trackage. Like, here's the switch I came up on last time. That curves around. These two tracks go to the steel mill. That track goes to the oil refinery. And this is kind of my main track if I want to bypass the oil fields, which instead we're going to go over here, just so we can look at the oil field real quick while that train's getting started. We'll catch up to it later. But this is the oil field coming into frame. This is kind of my track layout. Again, it's not prototypical. Everything does come to a loop, but I did that because it makes for better single-player operations. So as this loads in, again, sorry running is still not that fast, but you can also have different views. You hit V, different views. You get 3 of them before first person again. Same thing on the locomotive, so you get 3, get closer and closer. So this is your tools, site, or unloading site, your beams and your steel pipes. Steel mill over there makes steel pipes and tools for this place. And you also have oil loader. I don't have any tanker cars or box cars yet because I really haven't had the need. But hopefully, in the coming days, I will. The sawmill takes logs to create beams and planks. Can't tell you the exact ratio of what that is, but yeah. There's that. The logging camp also produces cordwood, which is used at the steel mill. Which the stake car with the ends on it, I guess you would call it I don't know its exact name. It's not a bulk end flat car, that's the modern term, but the end frame flat cars are what carry cordwood and oil barrels. So every car really has multiple purposes. There's only 2 cars that only have a specific purpose, being the tanker and the boxcar. Everything else has dual purposes. The caboose really doesn't do anything. It's kind of there for aesthetic. I use it as a nice big red thing to make sure that my train hasn't broken in half or derailed somewhere halfway. It's just a nice way of saying, okay, I have all the cars, I'm doing pretty good. I have derailed a lot and lost a lot of cars. Actually, last time I played, came to the bottom of the hill from my iron mine and found a loaded ore car, one of the loaded hoppers, just upside down and next to a tree. So, always a fun time. But, yeah. My fire's getting a little low. That's shown right down here is fire temperature, water level, water temperature, brake pressure, and boiler pressure. Not all the locomotives have brake pressure. The 2 pointers don't, because they don't have air brakes. So we're just going to open up our firebox here, throw some wood in, try not to have it lag out entirely where it's hurting the eyes. It's starting to hurt mine a little bit.
close that. You see, it's at 99. It will never get to truly 100. Oh dear, fell off there. It will never get to 100, but yeah. This is very close to its maximum capacity. I think it's 5,600 for water level. Don't quote me on that because I honestly have no idea. There's a glitch now where every time you load in, it somehow resets your water level, which I find odd, but yeah. But this is Class 70. We're currently on a route. So let me show you the map. Map. So currently on the arrow, we just came from the ironworks, went around from the refinery to the oil field, and are currently heading towards the freight depot. As you can see, you have the logging camp in the upper left there, then to the sawmill and smelter, along with two valleys. One goes to the iron ore mine, one goes to the coal mine. Now with the coal mine, you can, as they call it, crest the saddle, which is that low part right below the iron ore mine, or technically it's above it, but right below the main iron ore mine, where it's called cresting the saddle. And you can do that and then slowly carve your way back down to the refinery. It is quite an interesting route. I have yet to build on it, but it is great. Now there are different, didn't want to do that. There are different platforms you can use. There's one guy who created a map idea as, oh, there's the handcart. Yeah, I kind of just let it run away one day and it wound up there, and then just left it there, and we'll proceed to leave it there. But there's a guy who created a map thing. You upload your save into it, and it creates a map. It shows you your track layout, the gradients, where you left each locomotive. It's honestly a great map tool. It does use a cheating software, though, so if you have anti-cheat or anti-malware, it may not work. And you might have to give it special permissions to get by that, but overall, great thing. But, yep. I'm actually going to hop out here and see if I can't outrun this train real quick, because I know the switch up here is not set correctly. And again, I do apologize that the frame rate is terrible. That is not you, that is me. My computer does not handle this well. But we're simply just going to walk up here, flip the switch, and by doing that, you literally just click, and drag it from side to side. But, great tool. These are technically the wrong switches, as the developer said. They're stub end switches. So instead of having this knife rail, they actually move the entire two sets of rails back and forth, depending on which way you wanted to go. But this is what we got. They plan on changing that, along with adding a new spline tool, new locomotives. The game is constantly updating, and it's constantly updating for the better. They are adding so much more to this. This game, it's not even funny, and I'm honestly excited to see where it brings us. Many of you might know them. Just going to speed it up a little bit. Many of you might know them for their game American Railroads, which not the greatest game on the face of the earth. Have yet to download it and play it, but the videos I've seen is absolutely terrible. And that's because they abandoned it halfway through to make this game. So, to each their own. In my opinion, this game is already way better than that game, from what I can tell. But, yeah. So we're going to head up to my yard, or through my little yard here at the beginning area. It's, don't judge me, it's not great. Sorry. I have that feeling of I have to sneeze, but I can't. But, here we are. Oh. That was weird. Well, yeah, we're just continuing up
My yard is like right through those trees, like right over there. I think. Every time I drive this line, I forget how long it is and how long it takes to get from point A to point B. But you can see some of my older creations. Oh dear. They were bad, not gonna lie. I've honestly rebuilt a lot of track. This really is a lot longer than I thought it was. My bad. But I'm almost at an hour here, and all of you guys have heard is me rambling. So I honestly might stop when I get to the iron mill or iron mine, and go from there. Maybe upload another one later on, maybe not. Don't know. We'll see how well this does. But there goes my hat. There we go. But yeah, so always a good time. Again, I like to try to go live. This is being recorded, so I will be posting this video. I do not have editing software, so this is all unedited. Please don't kill me for it. But these will always be posted as lives first. So if you want to, if you can catch one, great. Please do. Ask me questions. Comment so we can talk. It's really hard to think about what to talk when really you have no audience to talk to. Or you have an audience, but you don't know exactly what that audience wants to hear. But so if you want to hear something, leave a comment. I will try my best to talk about it. I will not do anything political. I will not do anything controversial. It's not you. It's just I would like this stream to actually do well, and so far from what I've seen, YouTube is pulling down everything that isn't content or user quote-unquote friendly. Thus, this is not going to be another Joe Rogan channel. Maybe if I start doing better, I'll post separate videos where they are. But that's not likely in the foreseeable future. So I do apologize if that's what you want to talk about. I do have a Discord. I will probably be dropping the or Discord channel. I'll drop that in the next video, or I'll drop that in the description of this one. And so if you would like to join, you can. If you'd like to join a server with me, fantastic. I am currently looking for people. It's kind of boring playing this game alone, which I do often, surprisingly enough. Okay. So we're coming up to my yard. It's not the greatest. It's not laid out the nicest. There's my little turnaround track if you want to just avoid the entire that a whole area we just came from, that whole section of the map. But yeah. So we're just gonna cut through here real quick. It's not the nicest yard. It's one of my first attempts of making a yard. It's not laid out nicely. It's very crude, very janky track, as you can see by the different waviness. But we're coming off the switch now. We're going to be passing by the freight depot and the starting area, and then we're going to be continuing up. So there's my little roundhouse, or not roundhouse, but it's an engine shed and turntable. Roundhouses will be getting added later on. There's my number 2 Eureka in Palisades. I named it Woody David Sr. Woody D.E.S. So when you start, all you have is that one section over there, and you have these tracks which all come to a point right next to Eureka up there. But yeah, and then this whole yard I laid out entirely. It's absolutely terrible. You can tell that track and this track, I had trees here before, so I did not realize I could just go bink and connect it with one straight line. So instead, it's one sweeping curve, as most of my trackage is. A lot of it I have straightened out, lessened the gradient on it to actually be able to get to places. But a lot of it is still very janky, still derailing on curves every other day, and stuff like that. But we're just going to continue moseying along here. not a very fast train. So Class 70 is not the fastest train in the game. I believe the Eureka is. Once they've taken off speed caps, I know that much. So if you go downhill, you can go faster than this. But I believe Eureka prototypically has the highest, the highest top speed. Well, the Class 70, the high soars, they were all really meant for long haul, pulling really heavy trains and slugging it up grades, and just overall doing drags and heavy freights. They were not meant for passenger trains, they were meant for the bread and butter work. But here you go. Again, this is all narrow gauge. It's 3-foot gauge, American narrow gauge, which, if you really get into the history of it, there were a lot. But highly recommend you check out the developers for this is Railroads Online. Check out the developers stream. They did a whole video on what locomotives they're going to add to the game eventually. Like they have the Cook version of the 2880 Mogul. No, sorry. 280 version of the Consolidation, my bad. But it has yet to be added. They're going to do it with a couple other locomotives. They're just waiting on those locomotives currently. In all honesty, next episode, I might relay this entire track layout because I honestly don't like it that much. It does not suit my needs, and that's okay. It's okay. Don't feel like once you lay down a track, you have to stick with it. You can tear it up, relay it, doing a lot if you have to. It honestly improves game, and if you get bored of running trains, it gives you a nice break. But yeah, so we're just going to continue moseying our way up here. I'm going to mute my stream again. I apologize if the sound cuts out. I can't cut my mic currently. I have not hotkeyed that yet. This is my first stream. So I'm going to click off real quick, mute myself, click back on, go get the sound and everything. I'll change the view up a little bit every now and again, and I'll give you some commentary once we meet the switch to the iron mine, or logging camp, or not logging camp, the sawmill. But yeah, so I'll let you do that, or I'll let you guys just kind of sit back, relax. Actually, never mind. We're just going to keep going. Just keep on chugging. My bad. But never mind. I'm actually going to stay on because I forgot how short this is. But yeah, so right here, if you see that kind of cleared out massive trees that kind of goes around, that was my original layout. I've relayed this line almost 3 times now, and I'm going to do it again eventually. When I relay the yard, this track will get relayed at maybe a less steep of a grade, or less of a grade, I should say, because I personally don't like how long it is. I don't like how it's a grade here when it's relatively level. It does aggravate me a little bit. So we will work on that eventually. In time. Time is everything. I really don't have that much time in life. But that's life. But yeah, I'm a diesel mechanic or going to school to be one. So that's majority of where my mornings go. I go to class. I'm out by noon. Once I get a job, it will take up a lot of my time. I will be disappearing for a little while for the sole reason of I am going to basic training over the summer. I joined the South Dakota National Guard, so I get to disappear for a while. So I do apologize if that means I'm not making as much videos or many videos. I don't even know if I'm going to do this again. Or I'll probably do it a few more times, but I don't know if I'm going to make this a regular thing. I'm not great at it. I don't plan on becoming great at it. I'm just not me. But, yeah.
But it's crazy what's going on these days in the world. But yeah. But can't say it enough. Fantastic game if you're a diehard rail fan. Highly recommend it. Located on Steam. They do have a deal currently going where you can get the dual pack, so you can get Railroads Online and American Railroads. Whether or not you download them is up to you. Jeez, I feel like I've been talking most of this stream. I do apologize. Guys, once this video is posted, leave in the comments, please tell me, what can I improve on? What can I do better? Again, I am going to get a headset with a mic eventually. So I apologize if my audio is in and out or sounds really far away or really quiet. I am trying my best here. I'm not that great, as I say. This is more of a hobby, not necessarily a full-time thing. So we're meeting this grade. This track to the right currently goes nowhere. We'll actually see the other end of that track once we come around and down. I do plan on putting a Y in here eventually once I level off this whole area. But I won't bore you. Track laying is kind of boring, to be completely honest. So, and in all honesty, when I do track changes, it's spontaneous. I'll park the train right after or before it. I'll edit the track, reconnect, and then continue to do what I was doing. It's all a matter of how much does it annoy me to the point where I want to change it. Well, we're currently coming around the corner here. This track will pass as well. The other end, it goes there. I don't know if I deleted it or not, but we will see what we will see. I believe the old grade is actually still there from when I first laid the tracks here. And it is. Go figure. So this is my original track right up here in this corner. That's my original track down to the iron mine and originally went straight. There was a bridge that started here and looped around and then down. It, as you can see, it no longer exists. That track no longer goes anywhere, both ends. It just kind of sits there. And I just haven't gotten around to deleting it yet, because that's time consuming, and I don't want to spend my time playing deleting stuff. I want to spend it running trains and doing track work. But yeah, this is my current layout. It's not the greatest. I personally don't like how it's laid out. It will change. It's a first. I like to call it a first or second iteration. I know some people who have relayed it 16 times. It's just how much do you want to lay it, how fast do you want to run your trains, and how well do you want your track to be. But we're currently just cruising through here. This is a whole tangle of tracks in this area, so I apologize if it's a little much. Again, I'm not a professional at this. I've designed most of this to be single player, because I don't have anyone to play with me. But if you want to, more than happy to start a new server, let's do it. Wholeheartedly, let's do it. But right now, this is what I do. Everything is a loop. Again, non-prototypical, but it allows for single player running with minimum to no switch throwing. Depending on the industry, you kind of just throw a few switches and then you can just keep doing a loop around and around and around. And it's really nice some days. And other days it's like, well, great, I'm playing alone again. Well, we're coming up on the switch. The track to the left goes to the sawmill, which is, or not the sawmill, keep getting the names confused. I'm so sorry, people. But it goes to the logging camp, while the track I'm going to be taking goes to the sawmill. Just thought I'd show you in a quick map view. Now, this track, this is the first iteration. I haven't had it used to change it yet. I think I've straightened that out from being a sweeping curve because it derailed too many times and I got fed up with it. Like most things. Yeah, you can tell the gradient's not that great, or the fill, I should call it. They call these grades It's what you build your track on. If you can avoid it, do not build your track on the ground. It does make for one terrible ride, and you will be re-railing your train every 13 seconds. But yeah, that track goes there. As you can see, the terrain is different. This is flat, and you can tell it definitely grows as it goes around that corner and shrinks in height. But it is flat. It's just it maintains levelness throughout, no matter the grade or no matter what the ground texture is. But we're gonna cross this diamond here. We're gonna curve down through the sawmill and then head towards the smelter, or not smelter, the iron smelter? Yeah, the smelter. Sorry, I'm not used to the names here. They call these things what is prototypical. So you have the smelter where iron ore is refined into iron, the refinery where oil is refined into oil or into petroleum products, stuff like that. The ironworks, which you take iron from your smelter to the ironworks to be turned into things. Many people don't know the difference. I still learning the difference. I will get the names mixed up constantly. But overall, the locomotives are extremely detailed. They pretty much base these off of the drawings from them. But great thing. Not only that, these videos, I know they're extremely long. I do apologize. It's just this is the nature of the game. It's meant to be realistic. You're not going to get from point A to point B at light speed, like some trains games. It's also, you can't really design your own trains. You can't, say, add your own buildings. It's just not designed like that. It is not Trains Simulator, it is Railroads Online, which is supposed to be more of a overall railroading realistic based game, in which it has succeeded greatly. There will be new splines added, so instead of doing gradient and track separately, it will just be a track and gradient, which is so refreshing. So looking forward to seeing that, because this annoys me to no end. I cannot tell you how much. But yeah, so definitely looking forward to that. Again, if you watch the developer streams, they can tell you a lot more when it comes to that. But I'm coming in a downward gradient here. We passed the Eureka so far and Euler. I don't know if you noticed that at the oil refinery. I do apologize if I failed to mention that when we passed it. I thought about it during that moment of silence when we were coasting downhill from the refinery. But that's Euler. She's one of my favorites, not gonna lie. She's just such a unique looking porter, and she's one of the best. It fits for that type of locomotive, in my opinion. It's either that or the Cook Mogul or even the Class 70 here they share the number 2 spot. I like them both. Just the lines, the style, and the design. My one thing I don't like about the Cook Mogul is it's a little bit too... The front end feels too long for its wheelbase. But I do know that was prototypical for that locomotive. It just does not look right. But here we go. Slowly making our way. Still full regulator. Again, this is not the fastest. They are releasing more locomotives. And I'm going to plug it again. Watch the developer stream. I don't want to be answering questions on what locomotives are being added to the game. They go over the history of a lot of them. There's just a lot of them to go over. The big boy is not being added. I repeat, not being added. They've been getting a lot of comments about that recently, and they cannot stress it enough. It is not being added. I don't blame them. It's not a narrow gauge locomotive. It's not being developed for the narrow gauge. It never will be in this game. And if you want to drive a big boy, try Railroad Simulator 2022 or whatever it's called, or Trains and Simulator 2019 or 22 or whatever it's called now. I have Trains a New Era and Train Simulator 2019. That's with a Z. But here's the sawmill. As you can see, you have your planks and your beams. The iron mine takes both planks and beams. The coal mine only takes beams and rails, which are from the smelter. Apologies. A little bit of a stuffy nose. So over there is my number 3. This is my number 4. I think I called it my number 5. That's my bad. But this is the Cook Mobile, or Mogul, with a G, Mogul, which, honestly, another very nice looking locomotive. Very beautiful. Hooked up to those log cars I was talking about, with another caboose, water tower. Oh yeah, they also have refueling stations. So you can either add logs, planks, timbers, or cordwood, and you get wood, which you can left click on, you pick it up, and then right click to deposit it in the tender. Make sure you line it up right, it will disappear and go to nothing. This is the other end of that section of track that just vanishes. Again, a lot of my old work is scattered throughout, and there's the switch off. Goes back to that rock wall back there, and then ends right over there. I just haven't gotten around to deleting it yet. This is the new track layout. It's a little bit all over the place, but what are you gonna do? So that curves back around to that first switch we passed after we topped the hill there. And then this track has yet to be reconnected. Yeah. Has yet to be reconnected. It used to connect right about here-ish. Right about here. And then I redid the track. As you can see, I've moved the track over a little bit and realigned it. So it's currently just sitting there. I have yet to reconnect it. I planned for it up here where that switch is, but I have yet to actually put it into practice. The turn I had, which was right at the switch here, was a little bit too sharp, so it kept derailing. And then this over here is just another attempt of relaying. Again, haven't gotten around to deleting it. But I'm going to go throw this cordwood in real quick as it comes around the corner. Just going to line it up. And as you can see, it just appears in there. I'll right click. Go up here, hit F. And we get back. You can rebind your keys, by the way. I just haven't gotten around to it. It's WASD to move around when walking, right click to move around when you're in views, this is driving, and so on and so forth. I'm actually going to run back to the caboose real quick. I honestly believe this is one of the coolest features ever. But this is the caboose. If you jump up on top, you actually can put a lantern back there. Now, I just walked through the door, but to demonstrate, the door does open. And it does close. And then you have a little cordwood here, or a little of the fuel wood that you can use. You can actually open the stove and add wood into it, and it adds a realistic effect. You can step up here and stare out the window and see your whole train. And there's also the brake. You have a brake wheel on the inside and on the outside. So if you have multiple people playing, you can have a brakeman use whistle signals, or if you join Discord or can talk to each other on a different app, you can communicate with each other via that way. say, hey, coming down the hill, I need more brakes. Okay, I got you, and brake. Now, I don't know if the switch is set right up here, which if it isn't, then we're going to have to switch it twice. Or switch 2 switches in order to get back out of the iron mine. Hopefully we don't wind up derailing her, because it is a pain to re-rail. I'll tell you that much. And here's the switch. It is set in the wrong direction. This is kind of my cheat route down, so if I don't want to go all the way up to the iron mine, I can take this route instead. If I say I want to get to the coal mine or something faster, just bypass the smelter or bypass the iron mine, I can. Because again, they are both set up like loops. This also helps when I have those wood trains from the lumberyard. I do bring them either up that way or down that way and just use this big long loop, go back the way I came through. A little bit more time consuming, but again, it prevents me from having to do switching. Here's number 4 coming. So we're actually going to be able to see all 6 of my locomotives. We saw Oiler real quick. We saw my number 3. We saw number 2, Eureka, or in my world named Woody Davis Sr. Which you can rename them, they don't have to be historically accurate or whatever. You can do historical names like Denver and Rio Grande, or Colorado Southern, Uinta Valley. So you can do realistic names, you don't have to. You know, some people like prototypical. I'm someone who really doesn't care. As you can see, this is a portion of my original route down there. That was an attempt to try and build this line along with up there. And then this underneath is actually the original route I took before deleting a bunch of sections, trying to relay the track properly. Did not go well. I tried building a bridge that started there and went down over there somewhere, and it just did not go well. I could not get it to work. So I settled on this. It is a 2% grade all the way up, with I think a tad bit of a 2.25, something like that, percent grade. But here's my original route. It connects to there. I have to admit, I kind of miss the old route. It did have a really cool spiral in it, which I don't know if it will show or not as we go. But, well, if you'll be able to see it at least. This was my major project right here. So again, I try to leave the old route intact where possible, for the sole reason of, if I just decide to say, screw it, I'm done trying to attempt this, I'll switch over to the old route, reconnect it, and just keep running it that way, and think of a better way of redesigning it. But right now, sticking with this route. This route was kind of janky. I mean, I think I relayed the top half portion of it 3 times, and it came out to be too janky to use anymore. So I actually wound up tearing up all the track from a certain point up and try and re-rail it or realign it, and it just never came to be. I wound up blame this route. But another thing, all these trees, you can cut down all of them. It's not like some trees you can, some trees you can't. There are no preset routes. It's just you lay your own track, you do your own thing. So whatever you see fine, you build. As you can see, I put down embankments, bottom or gradients, stone walled and gradients, or gradients on the bottom, because I don't like floating track or bridge ends. I do not like floating bridges. I will make sure that does not happen. But here's the other bridge. As you can see, that's another attempt I tried to get. Never got anywhere because the bridges are still kind of wonky trying to lay them out. But there's my old bridge. It does curve up in that section. That is not an optical illusion. It goes from I think a 2% to a 3% and then to a 1% to nothing, like right there. It's kind of odd. So I just decided not to screw with it anymore and just left it as is. Oh yeah, don't mind the giant embankment here. This was so I could actually get up to this level to keep building my bridge. Because apparently there is no technical spline limit, but the spline does come to an end where it will no longer allow you to place no matter what you do. You have to end and restart. So I guess you'd call it a spline limit, but there's a difference. I don't know what to call it, but there's that. Here's my old route. There's the spiral I was talking about. The line actually goes underneath and then curves around and back over. Coolest part of the entire route, but the gradient was where it was at a point and the curvature was at a point where I could run long trains up the hill. Kind of annoying. If you look over there, that's the actual route we will be going down as we curve around this track. This track was supposed to be kind of a track level way of getting around. It does end eventually, but there's the original route. As I told you, I pulled up the track on it. That's how it originally got laid out. I technically used it to build this route, but I like the new route a lot better than the old one. While the old one was cool, it did have its features. There are a ton of switches down there. I originally was going to use this plateau as a little rail yard. That never came to be. It just kind of faded into dust when I realized I had to curve around, and then it was like, well, I have nothing to do here. I was going to build a yard to double the hill, as it's called, where you have to leave a section of your train behind to get to the top of the hill, come back down, grab another section, come back up. But again, that never came to fruition. I just decided to say, screw it, I'll build a easier curvature line and an easier gradient line up. But there's the track. I did lay track on it. No train has ever ran to that point. I think a section of it is actually deleted. But there's the old line again. It kind of curves underneath the new line. Oh yeah, I deleted a section of it. Go figure. But yeah, as you can tell, it's no longer a complete route. It just is. It's just vibing. It really just vibing. A thing that could have been but wasn't. And that's okay. Again, I'm just someone who doesn't like to take the time to delete stuff unless it's in my way. Then I will delete it. Otherwise, I just leave it there. It's not bothering anybody. It might bother a few of my viewers now, but you know what? I'm not worried about it. No train is ever going to run on it, and if I want to, I can always relay it around the bridge supports so I can actually run trains on it. But that's a different story, and that's a story for another day, as Victor Tansit would say. Hey, shout out to him. Great guy. Definitely check out his videos. Those of you want to learn more of an alternate history for Island of Sodor, I know it's a little bit kiddish, but all honesty, I recommend it. He does explore some darker topics on it, so some of those videos may not be child-friendly, to say the least. But it's an interesting thing. It explores a lot of things that the TV series didn't. Tries to stick more to the Railway series, but also adds its own canons and stuff like that. So it does vary here and there, but I definitely like it. It's kind of a mixture between the Railway series and Tugs, which, for those who didn't know, Tugs is a fantastic show. If you can find them on YouTube, highly recommend you watch them. It sadly got canceled too soon. But getting back onto Railroads Online, as you can see, there are two different bridge types. There's the steel bridge and the wood bridge. Really, they both don't have a disadvantage or an advantage. It's really what you prefer. The iron bridge does have longer supports than the wood bridge, but for quick track laying like this or in shallow areas, not shallow, but when your track isn't as steep or not going through deep valleys, it is a preferred way. It's a lot easier to place and lay out than the steel bridge is. You can place it in a lot longer sections than the steel bridge at a time, but it is quite nice. So there's the iron mine. As you can see, that little red blob there. I don't know if you can see it, but that's the end of train for my ore train. Again, I like to keep the trains intact. I try to keep them as whole as humanly possible, because I really don't like switching. Just not my thing. But we're going to be coming up here pretty shortly. Sorry, I apologize again. These are not light speed. It is meant to be realistic. I just never realized how long it takes to get from one end of this railway to the other. I've never tried to stream it before, and noticing my stream timer, I'm definitely seeing how much time I kind of waste on this game. But I enjoy it, so that's all that matters. I'm not complaining. But we'll end the stream when we get to the, or this YouTube Live or whatever. When we get to the iron mine, I'll show them a different stream of loading, or unloading, stuff like that, and how that works. Right now, this is just to give you a feel of what the game mechanics look like, what my railroad looks like, which, again, everyone's is going to be different. As you can see, that's one iteration. That's my valley level line, or my valley loop line, I guess I'll call it, or the abandoned portions of it. It technically went out to almost all the way up there, but I've deleted a lot of sections back to where I think it just curves around there and then ends. But here's my original line. As you can see, I still have a little bit of a jank in my track. And again, it's okay to have janky track. It is technically prototypical with some narrow gauge railways. They were not known for having straight lines. Although there were some narrow gauge railways that did have top speeds of 60 miles per hour, which is terrifying, to be completely honest with you. Imagine a little 3-foot gauge locomotive going 60. But it did happen. It was real. But, yeah. So, my valley line ends like right there. I think is where I deleted it. But here's the original route. I originally tried to go from that end, kind of curve it up and over, which did not work for the life of me, so I abandoned that altogether. And have just simply stuck with this. This route, it works when I have a loaded wood train. It's kind of hard to get up this hill, but it does do it. Begrudgingly, at least. And we are currently cresting the hill. And welcome to the iron mine, where locomotive number 5 is. Locomotive number 5 is a Heisler. Or not a Heisler, sorry. Rah. Don't listen to me. It is a Climax locomotive, and I did it for the sole reason of it really is needed to pull those heavy ore trains up the hill, and it kind of lives here. There's a little engine shed, and it just lives here. It's good for bi-directional operations. It doesn't have a tender, so it makes it so much easier to run in reverse. But I used to come up here with the Eureka, back before they had weight caps and stuff like that, which wasn't too long ago, but the tender had a habit of derailing when going in reverse, like most tender engines did. But here we are. I think I have a pretty good layout for a single player. Again, I'm not great at this game. Please don't judge me for it. That would be so great of you. coming around the corner here. There's my number 5. She's a beauty. As much as I say the Porters are my favorite, the Climax does have its own unique style, unique design, like all of them did, and that's honestly what attracts me to them. The Shay is coming. I don't know when, I can't say when, but there is development of the narrow gauge Shays. And it's only narrow gauge, there's nothing standard gauge being scaled down. That's just not happening. But yeah, the generator is kind of like it's a small steam turbine that's normally mounted on the boiler. The geared engines have it, the other ones don't. Those will be coming out later on. And that's where they switch from candle to electric headlights. Or open flame to electric headlights. You don't really see them on the earlier locomotives. It was still very much a foreign technology. But, yeah. They did come later on, so don't freak out when say the Eureka doesn't have it, when Eureka was built in 1836. Or I think it was 1863, or somewhere in that range. So, not everything is modern. The knuckle couplers, I honestly don't know if those are getting added or not. They have yet to figure out the mechanics of that. So they're going to hold off on a lot of the other locomotives until they figure out the mechanics of that, which they got a great development team. Highly looking forward to seeing a lot of that. And I know they're doing a lot of work. But Class 70, technically speaking, still exists. It was modernized in the 1910s. And you can still see one operating today on the... It's either the Cumbres or Toltec or the Colorado State Railroad Museum. They have one operating. But, again, check out the developer's locomotive stream. They'll be able to tell you more history on this. But, on this class, but technically speaking, they did exist. They were modernized. And as they develop, they might get a tech tree going. Where if you say bring this into the roundhouse and have enough money, you can modernize it, quote unquote. But I don't want to quote them on that. I don't want to say anything because if I do and it's not going to happen, then it's not going to go well. I just would rather leave it to them. I'll refer you to them for any information I can give you on it so I don't make a mistake and lead you down the wrong direction. Sorry about that. So this is relatively level. We're going to be coming to a very sharp decline, which I think starts like right over there somewhere. But yeah. Again, I apologize for the quality of the stream. I know it's not the best. I do apologize, but this is my first stream I'm making. They're not the first. It's technically my second one. I made one like 4 or 5 years ago. Didn't go well, so I'm not going to do that. This is really the first thing I've uploaded in a long time. But here we are. Here we are. Should be a lot of fun. But we're coming down the hill. We're coming up to where we got a downward gradient. It's a little bit steep, so I will be turning off the regulator for the sole reason of... Oh, pardon me. Hang on. For the sole reason of, I don't feel like absolutely flying down this rail or this track and completely tipping this locomotive off the track and having to derail everything. I've done it more times than I care to admit. It's not fun, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you. But here we go. As you can see that original plan for that valley line over on the left a little bit. Show that a little bit more if I can with this mountain in the way. But that was the original plan for it, and it just never came to be anything more than a pipe dream, really. But as you can see, it kind of curved around, but never came to anything. I don't think it'll ever come to anything unless you guys want to leave in the description below if you do, and I'll see what I can do. But I've been playing on this world a lot. I honestly might start another world and try to do all my track prototypical, which never done before, so would be definitely an interesting experience. But I'm willing to try it. I'm willing to try a more prototypical route, maybe designed for more people. So if you're interested in joining, please let me know. But yeah. So we're just gonna slowly coast down this line. Nothing too strenuous. Nothing too harsh. Just nice, gentle coasting. I shouldn't really say this is the steepest part of this whole gradient, but this is the whole downward section. Again, it's built how prototypically narrow gauge would be. This section here was actually relayed. I don't know if you can tell by the curve in it, but it was relayed. It did take a long time, but I found it too harsh for what I was trying to do. I tried to stay level with the terrain. Was not working out, so I finally said, I'm done, let's relay the track. And I did so. I think I buried some of the original track here and there, but I just built this brand new line, or incline down, new bridge over the valley over there, and it just works a whole lot better. I can do a whole lot more and run a lot better trains up and down at a more consistent speed. Without the risk of not making it up the hill, derailing when I hit the corner. As you can see, that retaining wall down there, or that gradient down there, was made as a retaining wall, because my original gradient hung off the side. And I don't like floating things. Fun fact. So we're gonna kick on the heat here as we hit this level part. Hopefully that tree doesn't decide to derail us in any fun shooting way. I recommend trimming trees as far away as possible from the line side. They do have a tendency of, say, when streaming, the frame rate's not the best. The physics aren't the best when that happens, and they sometimes decide to catch a car and derail it or send it flying. So we're gonna edit that. There we go. We just added some more wood. Running a little bit low on our fuel there. We were at about 5. So we added some wood. And we're just going to continue powering along this little flat spot until we hit that downward section. Then we're going to cut off steam, and we're going to slowly coast our way down. Again, don't want to go too fast, don't want to hit the corner at the bottom and entirely yeet myself off the tracks, but here we go. We're going to give it a go, and if it dies, it dies. We'll have fun with it, though. But yeah, I do have Instagram, social media, but I will not be sharing that quite yet. Don't want that getting out there and people spamming me, in all honesty. But it should be a good time, hopefully for everyone who views. And I apologize, it's not the most in-depth tutorial of how to run the game. Maybe I'll start a stream or a series of videos where I do that. But until then, I would recommend checking out the community. There are a lot of videos on how to play this game. And here's this sharp downward portion, so we're going to turn off that regulator, and we're just going to let her coast all the way down. It is steep in this portion, and it will get a tad bit funky. but we like funk, don't we? That was weird. Sorry about that. Sorry if I go silent. I am checking my phone. I do get notifications when on stream, as I'm sure I don't have to explain to people, but you know what? I'm going to do it anyway because some of you might go, well, why did all of a sudden you cut out midway or halfway through a sentence? It's nothing to do with you guys. I'm just checking notifications. It has been officially an hour and a half. Oh, dear me. But, yeah. So, this is always fun. Always having a good time. Playing this game, it's more of me relaxing than anything. Right there's the track heading down to the smelter. It's kind of a relay. But I do like this view because you can see across. There's the bridge. I don't know if you can see it with how dark it is. But there's the bridge heading up. There's the... I can't think of... Oh, wait, no, that's just a section of the mountain. There's the iron mine somewhere. I don't know if you can see it clearly. But there's the bridge heading down. Or I should say bridges. But, yeah. So while this is coasting down, I'm going to mute myself real quick. Oh, wait. Hang on. We're almost to the bottom. So let me mute myself real quick. The junction you see that we're going to pass is the junction to the coal mine. I might show that in another video. But right now, we're just going to do our thing. Once we get to that steel mill, I will end the stream. Or not the steel mill, the smelter. I will end the stream, and we'll pick it up another time. But, alright, let me click off real quick. I'll let you guys watch this train roll down the hill, and I will be back shortly. What's up, guys? I'm back. Apologies for that. Had to go check some notifications. So, still haven't made it, but that switch up there is technically the switch to the coal mine. We're going to turn on the power here a little bit, regulator, which is pretty much controlling the steam to the actual engine, which are the pistons. So this is one engine set. Things like the big boy, which is an articulated, have two engine sets mounted on one frame. So the locomotive is the boiler, engine set, wheels, everything, while a steam engine is technically just the piston assembly on the frame with driving the wheels. That is technically the engine. But that's my track to the coal mine. This area will probably get relayed, maybe have a yard in it someday, maybe not. It depends on how much I want to invest in this route or how much I want to redesign this route. But this game is literally meant to just be played with friends, enjoyed, and just have a wonderful time all around. And while being, with the subtext of being historically and I guess mechanically accurate, their developers are trying to make these locomotives as accurate as humanly possible by pretty much following the exact drawings that these locomotives are based on, same power output, same rating output, and doing everything they can to make it pretty much exactly like the real thing, while still being a computerized version, if that makes sense. So they're not trying to rebuild physically every single class in real life, but they're trying to make it so at least some of the members that may or may not have surviving members of their classes have some sort of a visualization and some sort of way of saying, okay, this is how this thing is like, and you can get a feel of, well, why did the Denver and Rio Grande relegate some of these locomotives to this branch? Or why did they relegate to that branch? Or why did the Uinta Valley have such crazy locomotive designs? And stuff like that. But this train, coming up to the original route, as you can see, this track was relayed a little bit, which is why there's a little bit of a dip. But that's the second line coming from that Y. This is one long Y, but there's the Y. Oh boy, I derailed somewhere. Tokyo drifted a little bit. Reverse. Release the brake. Make it come to a stop. And then run in reverse really quick. This has happened more than once now. I don't know why it happens, but I think I know why. It's just a track laying issue. I probably have to go back, relay it so it's a little bit gentler of a curve. Then I have a feeling I know exactly what happened. With the length of the train, these cars do have weights to them, and the physics do react to the weight of that. So this is probably, if I had to guess what happened, one of the cars, or they got sandwiched a little bit, one of the cars popped out off the rails, and it just took the whole train from there, probably in the second car, but that's my theory of understanding. We're going to see. It could be an absolute catastrophic failure where every single car is off the track. It could be that 2 to 4 cars are off the track, the rest of the train's on the track, or it just became disconnected. Let me invest. Okay. That's rather odd. So you're still moving. You're still moving. What happened? So you see how it highlights, once it highlights you can interact with it. So we're gonna let this coast into it. We're gonna hook it up real quick, like so. We're gonna get in that cab, get into UI mode, and we're just gonna reverse this and figure out where we went wrong in life. Which might take a little while. So I'm going to step out. I'm just going to run down here real quick. Reinsert a link and pin. kind of ride the rails here to figure out where we went wrong in life. Okay, we're going to stop this. We're going a wee bit too fast. Brake, reverser, we'll regulator off, brake on. Gonna let that slowly coast to a stop. And of course, we've just catapulted this car, so we're gonna ride this car up. Oh, I think I see our site of derailment. I think that red thing, or that red splotch, if you can't see, is right about there, where the yellow cursor is. So we're just going to pop a link, pop a pin in. And we're going to see the damage. It might have been the caboose. With the frame rate, it does mess with the physics a little bit. So it may have just been a caboose and a few cars. It may have been a few cars and the caboose. It looks like it was a few cars. Looks like it was a lot of cars. Oh dear. It was a lot of cars. And the caboose. Oh my. It just catastrophically failed. Which means that car, if I had to guess, that car derailed the one on the right that we just passed. It kept pushing, or multiple cars kept pushing it out of the way. These two flipped, one flopped over, one rolled, and then that one just continued to roll down the hill. So we're going to go over here, this little re-rail tool, click the flat car, go up to this nice flat portion, you line it up nice, you let go, it drops on, and it rolls down the hill because this is a grade. Pop another link and pin in there. So by the time we get all these re-railed, they should all just join right nicely up to each other. To the point where all we have to do is pop some pins in, and life goes on. But cars are on the ground everywhere. Oh dear. Lagging out a little bit. Lock you back in, let you go. Link, pin, done. And we'll just slowly make our way up the line here. Now this is extremely annoying. I hate when this happens. But I think it's just because the length of train plus no weight in train. But you can't get stuck underneath the cars. If that happens, just let them roll. And if they're not rolling, then just go into the setting or go into the little tools menu, grab the re-rail tool, and just re-rail it. It's going to be a lot easier that way. Just make sure that none of them derailed anywhere sooner. Kind of do a nice hike up. Okay, no. Sometimes cars derail, and the caboose and the rear cars will actually push it off. The caboose is also a pain to find. You sometimes have to click it right there before it likes to re-rail itself. Make sure it's going the right way. Oh, I never put marker lights on this caboose. Oh well. Set down, we're going to put a link and a pin, and we're just going to step up and watch it roll. Hopefully, by the time we make it to the bottom, they'll all be kind of assembled, so we just have to pop pins in, and life goes on. So you will see number one, Betsy. Betsy was she is the OG locomotive. She's just that first Porter 440 or 040, sorry, 040. And she was magnificent at the beginning, but as bigger trains have come along, she kind of got retired to a switching job. But it helps sometimes, like if you have lore to your railroad, like I do, because I'm weird like that, but I do like to have a backstory. Why was the railroad built? Well, connect all these industries. Modelers are working on passenger cars and maybe doing passenger trains as well, as in having towns and stuff bringing people to and from. But that's all. No one has an exact date on that. Again, that's just what's in development and in talks, which means you can do prototypical mixed freight trains, or mixed trains as they're called, where it's passenger and freight in one train, which would be kind of cool to see, but no idea yet. No idea yet. But we're going to cross that bridge when we get there. I look forward to it. But as you can see, all these cars are lining up absolutely beautifully. Going to leave that bomber caboose to just roll so I can go through. Oh, that's right. You already have a Lincoln pin in you. And then it's just a matter of pen. When you hear that sound, that clunking thing, that means the car is connected. Don't hear that? The car is not connected. Do not roll away. Will not go nicely for you. You can really see that lantern glow. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, I hate when that happens. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. Sometimes I'll get fed up and just re-rail it further up the track and attach it that way. Other times, I would just go back to the locomotive. Release the brake. Let it do its 2%. 13% crawl backwards. So I can connect it real quick so then we can continue on our way to the steel mill. This stream has almost been 2 hours. Yikes. Connect. We're done. Let's go already. As you can see, I still have a lot more track work to do, but right now it's currently running, and it's running well to a point. I need to figure out what's going on with that. We're just going to flip the reverser. She's going to do a little bit of wheel slip, which she does. If you turn the brake on and do that, you will actually stop faster in some cases, because the train is trying to overcome 2 forms of opposing inertia. So it will stop nicer, but at the same time you do run the risk of completely yeeting your train off the tracks, or jackknifing the train, or squeezing a few cars too hard and having them pop off. Because that just looks like the car back here came off, it derailed, it flew and then through the inertia, this kept rolling. It pushed that car to the side, pushed those 2 cars down there, had a section roll down. That car, or the 2 last cars in the caboose kind of derailed. The caboose flipped over, or something like that, if I had to guess. Thankfully, OSHA's not a thing on this, because I think I would have a lot of violations, and that's a lot of damage. To quote Phil Swift, may that man rest in peace. But here we go. We're back at it again, boys. Class 70, heading towards the smelter. Hey, I finally got it right. And we're just going to cruise. And when we hit that smelter, I'll end this stream. And yeah. This whole reason of, I got to make dinner. It's getting late here. I gotta call a few things and take care of a few things. So maybe I'll hop on later tonight. Maybe I won't. But yeah, it's currently 6:08 my time. So it's getting late, boys and girls, ladies and gents. Thus, we will be picking this off. We're picking it up later tonight, or even into next week sometime. Um, I'm pretty much free the entire week, so keep an eye out for them. I can't give you an exact time, but I do try to post these, or will be trying to post them every time I'm done with them. But should be fun, hopefully. And hopefully, it all goes well. You know. I'm just gonna keep on chugging the old railroad way. So, as I left off, we have our bridge here. This is the original route. It wasn't realigned once. That was the original route there. This is the route, or the other leg of the Y from the coal mine. I like it a lot better than this, and I'm going to try and tighten up that Y if possible without absolutely yeeting every train I try to off the tracks. Because, as you can see, rerailing then was a breeze, but it can be a pain, especially when your train rolls down the valley. Not a fun time when that happens, by any stretch of the imagination. But, yeah. But always a fun time. Always a good time. But we cruising yet again. But in my opinion, railroading in the old days was a lot harder, but it was a lot more respected job. These days you're like, oh, you're a railroader. Great. Back then, if you were a railroader, you're looked at as a leader in the community. You were looked upon as, now that is a man of skill. We don't have that anymore. And we really have that disconnect between the college educated and the trades these days. A lot of people are like, oh, you're a tradesmember. You are bottom of the class. I'm like, no. I'm a tradesman, which means I make more, or can have the possibility of making more than you without having student loans and in half the time. Now, granted, I get it. Not a lot of people like the idea of going into the trades. It's not for everyone. And, oh dear. We're just gonna hit the brakes again. Oh boy. You see what I mean, guys? So what happened here is it looks like one of these cars caught the tree and completely decided to glitch itself inside of itself. Fantastic. And of course the tree is going to push this whole section over and lift. Oh dear. Oh. Alright, guys. In that case, we're just going to end the stream here because I got to go fix that mess. Oh. No. Yeah, I got to go fix this real quick. So I will leave you guys be. Thank you for watching. If you do, no one joined, which kind of sad there, but oh well. But I'm gonna leave you here. I gotta try and re-rail this mess, and then yeah, I'll probably pick it up either later tonight or sometime later this week. So thank you guys for watching, and if you did join or want to join, fantastic. Sorry about that. Just my way of getting over to this menu or my streaming menu.
So thank you guys for joining. It's been a pleasure, and I hope you all have a wonderful time.